Alarms erupted before Dylan Hart registered the danger. A cargo loader, 12 tons of industrial steel, skidded sideways on the greasy deck of Kalara Station's loading bay, scraping sparks along the floor plates. The proximity warning screamed too late. Dylan rolled instinctively, shoulder striking a waste recycler just as the machine thundered past. The shockwave rattled his teeth. His forehead slammed the corner of a shipping container, and white static swallowed his vision. The loader vanished into the shadows of the bay. No apology. No slowing down, just the metallic echo fading into the station's constant hum. Dylan pushed himself upright, palm pressed to his temple. His fingers came away red. Fantastic, he muttered. Another day, another concussion. He staggered toward the personnel lift, grimy walls plastered with ads promising illegal upgrades, black market medication, and something called emotional unburdening through knives. The human medical clinic would have handled his head wound in minutes, but budget cuts reduced its operating hours to barely existing. He checked his watch. Clinic closed 39 minutes ago. That left one option, the Xeno Medical Ward. He sighed. I survived 2 combat tours. I can handle space healthcare roulette. He crossed the station's entertainment district, weaving through neon-lit chaos. Kalara attracted the desperate and the unlucky. Runaways, smugglers, cheap laborers, and people who believed the frontier was full of opportunity instead of tetanus. A cracked sign flickered above him. Feeling lucky? Someone had spray-painted over it, feeling bleeding? Medical this way, the old casino doors hissed open. The smell hit him first, antiseptic fighting a doomed war against alien odors. The waiting room resembled a disaster museum. A Thraxian mother restrained 6 larval children who gnawed on furniture. A glowing rash shimmered across a Benton trader's neck. 2 miners compared missing fingers like trading cards. The seating was made of repurposed gambling stools lined up beneath a malfunctioning hollow banner that kept flashing. Please don't die in the waiting area. Dylan signed in on a grimy datapad. Species, human. Complaint, head trauma. Insurance, LOL. He slumped into a chair. The room flickered like a bad memory. His headache worsened. Just keep breathing. Don't throw up. Don't pass out in the alien daycare. 20 painful minutes later, a door hissed open. Dylan Hart. The voice was warm, low and distinctly unworried. Exactly the tone someone used when they already knew how this scene would. And Dylan looked up and forgot how to blink. She stood framed in the doorway. Tall, elegant, skin, the color of deep violet turning to blue at the edges. When the lights caught it, iridescent like polished mineral, copper eyes tracked him with deliberate attention. Scrubs hugged her figure in a way that made the word scrubs feel inadequate. Her hair, black with a faint shard glitter sheen, flowed down her back. She moved with precision. Calm, measured steps, as though every motion had been rehearsed. I am Viranel, she said. Follow me. He rose too quickly. The room spun. He steadied himself against the wall. You're concussed, she noted. Lucky guess? He groaned. You walked into a wall. Right. That. He followed her into a corridor lit with soft amber panels. Instead of the usual clinical chill, the air smelled faintly of something floral. Jasmine, maybe. Or something close to jasmine if jasmine had evolved on a world with purple oceans. The examination room looked sterile on first glance. Bioscanner, medical desk, equipment racks, but there was something artistic behind the order. No clutter, no chaos. Viranel closed the door, then turned toward him slowly, appraising him with unsettling attention. Sit. He lowered himself onto the med table. She approached, efficient, unhurried, silent. You are bleeding, she observed. Yeah, he said. I noticed. Her gaze moved from his forehead to the rest of him as though mapping anatomy. Not clinically. Curiously. How did this happen? Cargo loader didn't feel like stopping. Viranel blinked once. Were you playing a game of chicken? That's generous. It was more like me versus gravity. Remove your shirt, he stared at her. For a head wound? Leonore diagnostic protocol requires full neuromuscular assessment. That sounds made up. She didn't answer. She simply waited. Dylan sighed and tugged off his shirt. Her gaze followed the motion, and for the first time, the clinical mask slipped, just a flicker. Her fingers, long, delicate, gloved themselves in material that molded to every joint. She stood close enough for him to feel her body heat. "Hold still," she said. Her hand pressed to his sternum. The warmth surprised him, not cold latex, but skin-like flexibility. She traced along his ribs with slow precision. Her touch was feather-light yet authoritative, mapping bone structure and muscle tone with unhurried care. Dylan fought the urge to flinch. This was not how human exams went. Her palm slid lower. "Whoa! Hey!" His voice cracked. Her fingers had reached the border between medical and definitely not medical. "Relax." Her tone didn't change. "I am evaluating neural response pathways. That's not where my brain is. One could argue your species thinks with this region often." His ears went hot. "That's slander." "A hypothesis," she corrected. She pressed at a point on his lower abdomen. The touch was controlled, professional, yet intimate enough to short-circuit thought. He inhaled sharply. Virinel leaned in, studying his reaction with calm, scientific detachment, except her pupils had dilated slightly. "Elevated heart rate," she murmured. "You're poking me in places that should require dinner first." She ignored that. Her hands moved upward, along the scar tissue on his shoulder. "The one from Jakarta?" She traced it slowly. "Knife wound," she murmured. "Bar fight," he said. "Long story. He lost." "You have seen combat. More than I care to remember." She finally met his eyes and something shifted. "Humans endure damage but keep going. Fascinating biology." She lifted a chrome scanner shaped like a beetle and swept it over his forehead. A soft chime sounded. "Concussion. Minor neural inflammation." She touched his jaw lightly and applied a sealant to the wound. A warm pulse radiated through his skull, pressure dissolving, clarity returning. And then, she paused, her brow furrowed. She checked the scanner again. "Your endocrine markers are irregular." "Meaning?" "Your stress hormones fluctuate rapidly, adaptive, not typical for humans." "I'm special." He meant it as a joke. She didn't smile. "You are different." She stepped back, removing her gloves with slow, deliberate precision. "You require monitoring. 3 follow-up sessions. Same time slot. 3? I thought this was routine." "It is routine for me." That should not have sounded like a threat wrapped in silk. Dylan slid his shirt back on. "Do I get a choice?" "No." Then softer. "Your biology is very interesting. Apparently, that counted as medical justification." She handed him a small card. Warm to the touch, scented faintly of that floral note. "Do not miss your appointment," she said. He swallowed. "Right." Virinel opened the door, posture perfect, one hand resting lightly against the frame. As he stepped out, she leaned close enough that her breath brushed his ear. "Next time," she whispered. "Try not to get damaged. I prefer my patients intact." The door slid shut behind him. Dylan stood frozen in the hallway, heart racing, forehead tingling. Sanity questionable, he'd come in for a concussion. He left with an appointment card that smelled like temptation and a lingering sensation where her hands had gone way too low. He exhaled slowly. This is not going to end well. Even concussed, he understood one thing. That wasn't a medical exam. That was the beginning of something dangerous, and Virinel knew it. Dylan arrived 5 minutes early. The Xeno medical ward looked different today, quieter, less chaotic. The flickering hollow sign had been repaired. The larval furniture chewers were gone, replaced by a single exhausted trader snoring into a bucket. He wasn't sure if that counted as improvement. The card Virinel gave him still carried that faint floral scent. He kept telling himself it meant nothing. Yet he'd checked his reflection twice before leaving his quarters and changed shirts 3 times, which absolutely meant something. At exactly 1400 hours, the door opened. Virinel stood framed in amber lighting. No introduction, no greeting, just Dylan Hart, come. He followed her past rows of treatment rooms until she stopped at a door he hadn't seen before. It slid open to reveal a chamber that looked nothing like yesterday's clinic. Soft lights washed the walls in slow gradients of violet and blue. A crystalline device hummed in the corner, casting refracted patterns across the ceiling like shifting constellations. In the center sat a sleek platform, half chair, half cradle, built out of polished metal and something glass-like. This room did not say medical evaluation. This room said intimacy disguised as science. What happened to the bright lights and cracked equipment? He asked. I reserved a private diagnostic bay. Do regular patients get this kind of treatment? She looked back at him, copper eyes steady. They are not you. That answer should not have hit as hard as it did. She gestured. Sit. He lowered himself into the strange chair, which adjusted automatically to his height and posture. Warmth embraced him. No cold metal, no sterile surfaces. More like a welcome. This is a neural harmonizer, Viranel said. It allows me to evaluate your cognitive pathways. He frowned. Like a brain scan? More interactive. She positioned herself directly in front of him, so close their knees touched. She pressed a button and 2 oval contact points glowed on the armrests. Place your hands here. He rested his palms on the indentations. They warmed instantly. Viranel covered his hands with hers, not professionally, deliberately. Her skin, slightly cooler than human, rested against his. Her fingers curled just enough to make it personal. Breathe, she instructed. He tried. His pulse disagreed. A low vibration synced with his chest, matching his heart rate beat for beat. The light softened into a darker shade of violet, pulsing slowly, like breath. What exactly does this thing do? He asked quietly. It reads neural impulses, emotional signals, truths you attempt to hide. That sounds invasive. Viranel leaned forward, her eyes locking onto his. That is the point. The device hummed. And a strange sensation drifted beneath his skin, like awareness brushing against his thoughts. Not reading them, but touching them lightly. Your mind shields quickly, she observed. Pattern suggests combat training, Dylan swallowed. Used to be military medic. Used to be, she echoed. Left after we lost too many people I couldn't save. Silence. Not cold. Not judgmental. Just space. You carry guilt, she said softly. Heavy. Unresolved, part of the job. No, she corrected. Part of being human, the harmonizer pulsed, a slow, resonant beat that echoed in his spine. He didn't know what she saw in that scan, but her expression changed, respect mixed with something much more dangerous. She adjusted the harmonizer's controls. The light shifted to deep blue. Her hands remained over his, unmoving. The closeness became impossible to ignore. Her voice changed, quieter. You are attracted to me. Dylan nearly yanked his hands away. Is that the machine talking or your ego? The harmonizer does not produce false readings. A faint smile. And neither does my ego. He tried for casual and failed. Maybe I just appreciate competent medical care. You are attempting humor to deflect discomfort. Her tone was not teasing, only factual. It is unnecessary. Unnecessary. Everything about this situation was more than necessary. Her gaze dropped to where her fingers rested over his. She did not pull away. Your physiology responds strongly to contact, she said. Your hormone levels shift whenever I touch you. I'm not a lab experiment. No. She lifted her head. You are an anomaly, the harmonizer chimed, a new tone. The screen displayed a fluctuating pattern, shifting in rhythm with their combined pulse. This is unexpected, she murmured. What is? Your neural signatures synchronize with mine. That should not be possible. Meaning? You and I. She hesitated, as if selecting a safer word. Align. The harmonizer abruptly spiked. Viranel pulled her hands away, breaking the connection. The warmth vanished. Dylan exhaled shakily. What just happened? I do not know. The admission carried weight. Leonore did not know things. Viranel turned away, scanning the readings again. Her movements were precise, but tension radiated from every line of her body. When she spoke again, her tone wasn't clinical. Humans are not supposed to integrate with Leonore neural harmonics. Our minds evolve differently. Our signals shouldn't merge. Yet here we are, Dylan said. She looked over her shoulder. Yes, here. He stood from the chair, needing distance, needing clarity. Why did you choose me? Out of all the people waiting, she stepped closer. Too close. Until he could see the faint shimmer on her skin where violet shifted into blue. Because when you were injured, she said, you did not panic. You stayed conscious. You evaluated your surroundings, even while bleeding. That's instinct. No, that is discipline. Her gaze traveled over him. Not hungry, but intent. And your biomarkers are rare. Dylan folded his arms. So I'm a research project. Something flickered in her expression. Guilt, maybe. Or fear. I requested you, she admitted. Before you ever returned for a second appointment. Why? She didn't blink. You feel aligned. Aligned. The word settled deep. Soft footsteps sounded outside. A voice echoed faintly through the door. They increased scanning on level 3. Corporate inspection coming. Dylan recognized the speaker, Marcus Chen, his only friend on this station. A moment later, Marcus poked his head into the room. Dude, there you are. He spotted Virinel, blinked twice, and mouthed wow silently. You missed our post-shift drink. Everything okay? Better than okay, Dylan said. Marcus gave Virinel a look that was equal parts admiration and terror. You do research on him? Because he came back after the first appointment smiling like he won the lottery. Virinel's expression didn't change. Dylan is undergoing neurological assessment. Marcus leaned in, lowering his voice. Be careful. Titan Mining's corporate auditors are sniffing around. They want data on any alien-human compatibility tech. If they find something valuable, they'll take it and him. Dylan felt the air shift. Virinel did not hide the stillness that entered her posture. A predator calculating. Thank you, Marcus Chen, she said evenly. Your warning is noted. Marcus gave Dylan a quick bro handshake, then exited as quietly as he appeared. The door sealed. Virinel stood motionless for a full second. Then she turned toward Dylan, voice low. You must not miss your next session. Corporations interfere when they smell potential profit. If they suspect bonding, they will claim you as property. Property, he repeated. Yes. And what do you call me? She stepped close enough that her breath brushed his jaw. Chosen. The words stole the air from his lungs. He opened his mouth to speak, but her next sentence silenced every thought. If Titan Mining takes you, she whispered, I will not get you back. Her eyes held something he never expected to see from an alien who touched him like a project and watched him like a puzzle. Fear, not of him, of losing him. She moved toward the door, her composure restored. Session 3, same time. Do not fail to appear. And she was gone. Dylan stood alone. Not a patient. Not a specimen. Chosen. And for the first time since he arrived on Kalara Station, the danger wasn't outside. It was already in motion. The third appointment should have been routine. Instead, security sealed the entire xenomedical ward. Dylan could feel tension in the air before he even reached the entrance. Uniformed guards stood at every hallway intersection. Their armor carried the orange insignia of Titan Mining Corporate Authority. Marcus intercepted him at the corner, breathless. Dude, turn around. Corporate goons are inside. They're seizing tech. Looking for you. Dylan stopped cold. Why would a corporation care about a concussion patient? Marcus lowered his voice. Because according to their surveillance feed, you're not a concussion patient. You're the guy some alien nurse keeps dragging into private rooms with mood lighting and advanced biotech. Dylan felt the bottom drop out of his stomach. Virinel, he said. Marcus nodded. They're demanding her research files. If they find anything about you, they'll label you a biocompatibility asset. Assets don't get choices. Dylan didn't run. Didn't hide. Instead, he pushed open the door to the ward, straight into a corporate raid, tables overturned. Data consoles stripped apart. Research drives boxed and labeled. Virinel stood at the center of the chaos, surrounded by guards. Her composure was intact, but her jaw was clenched, and her hands were cuffed together with a restraint field. She saw Dylan, and her eyes flared with alarm. The lead corporate official turned. A middle-aged man with smooth posture and a smile that didn't belong anywhere near compassion. "Mr. Hart," he said, as if greeting an old friend. "I'm Director Halvaron. We're here to protect humanity's interests." "You're holding my medical provider hostage," Dylan said. "Incorrect. We are securing alien research involving a human subject." Halvaron lifted a datapad and tapped the screen. A hologram flickered to life. Grainy surveillance footage of Dylan in the harmonizer chair. Virinel's hands over his, their pulses synchronized, light cocooning them both in violet glow. It looked intimate. Too intimate, Halvaron didn't view it as connection. He saw property. Leonore technology interacting with human biology, he said. Potentially profitable. Potentially dangerous. "I consented to treatment," Dylan said. "Consent is irrelevant. Your physiology reacted in a way that suggests cross-species neural integration." Halvaron stepped closer, voice smooth and cold. "We want to duplicate that effect. For colonization. For control." Dylan's stomach tightened. "You think you can patent a person?" "Not a person," Halvaron corrected. "A compatibility model," he signaled the guards. "Seize Mr. Hart. Transport him to the corporate research vessel." 2 guards grabbed Dylan's arms. He instinctively shifted into combat med instinct, swift, efficient movement learned under fire. He twisted out of the first grip and slammed the second guard's wrist into a console edge. Armor clattered. Another guard advanced with a stun baton. Dylan dodged, grabbed the closest object, a diagnostic stool, and swung. It cracked against the guard's helmet. Virinel shouted, "Stop!" But more guards closed in. Dylan wasn't winning this. Not by force. "Don't fight," Virinel said sharply. "They'll escalate." He let the guards restrain him. Not because Halvaron owned him, but because Virinel asked. Halvaron smirked. "See? Cooperation is easier?" He turned to Virinel, using her name like a weapon. "Nurse Virinel, your research notes." "All copies." She lifted her chin. "No." Halvaron gestured to a guard who tightened the restraint field. The crackling energy pulsed around her wrists, forcing her to her knees. Dylan thrashed against his captors. "Stop!" Halvaron raised a hand. "She hands over data. You remain unharmed." Virinel didn't look at Halvaron. She looked at Dylan. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned. "They will erase your identity, reduce you to a test subject." Dylan met her gaze. "What do we do?" Virinel exhaled, measured and slow. "We give them exactly what they fear." She moved, not breaking the restraints, but shifting her stance to face Dylan. Her voice turned calm and deliberate. "Dylan Hart," she said, "initiate protocol merge." He blinked. "The neural harmonizer?" "More than that," she leaned toward him. The guards held him fast, but they couldn't stop her voice from reaching him. "Are you willing to trust me?" He didn't hesitate. "Yes." Virinel lowered her voice. "They need proof we cannot be separated without harm. So we show them." She nodded toward the harmonizer chair, still intact in the corner. "Place him in the harmonizer," Halvaron ordered. "If there's a bond, we record it." The guards shoved Dylan into the chair. Virinel was forced into the counterpart seat across from him. Their knees touched. Her cuffs remained locked. She rested her palms, bound together, on the armrest. "Hands on mine," she whispered. He covered, her hands with his. The harmonizer activated. Light. Bled outward. First blue, then violet, then pulsing brighter than before. The vibration synchronized with Dylan's heartbeat, then with hers. The rhythm settled, not chaotic, but unified. Halvaron leaned in. "What does this prove?" Virinel closed her eyes. "Everything." The harmonizer pulsed again. Hard, Dylan gasped, sharp pain ripping through his chest. Virinel flinched as if struck by the same force. They both felt it, a shared jolt. One alarm beeped. Then another. The medical console streamed biometric data. Neural synchronization, 94% proximity dependency, detected separation. Risk high. Halvaron stiffened. "Is this real?" Virinel's voice was strained. "If we're separated now, our neural systems destabilize. The harmonizer spiked. Pain flared through Dylan's chest, sharp, electric. Virinel gasped, arching in her restraints. Dylan shouted, "Stop! Shut it off!" But Virinel seized his hand, steadying him. "No, they must see." Guards backed away. Halvaron stepped back, confusion morphing into unease. "Your vitals are linked?" he said. "Yes," Virinel whispered. "If you remove him from me," the harmonizer beeped a warning. Critical sync threshold separation, and system failure. Halvaron stumbled back. "You'll both die?" Dylan held Virinel's gaze. "We survived together." Or not at all. Silence swallowed the room. Then, a booming announcement over the station intercom. Unregistered corporate detainment detected. "Leoner diplomatic vessel entering dock." Everyone froze. The bay doors blasted open. A violet-armored Leoner envoy entered. Her presence filled the room with command. Her voice carried authority that cut sharper than any weapon. "Who dares restrain a Leonor medical officer during active neural synchronization?" Halvaron tried to recover his corporate calm. "This is internal research." "Titan mining?" "You have endangered a human citizen during a medical procedure," the envoy said. "Under interstellar treaty, that is attempted biological coercion." Guards shifted uncertainly. Dylan and Virinel still held hands, palms locked. The envoy tapped her wrist console. The harmonizer shut down. The restraint field snapped open. Virinel's cuffs dissolved. She staggered. Dylan caught her. The envoy turned to Halvaron. "Your corporation is hereby expelled from this sector," Halvaron sputtered. "You have no authority." The envoy raised her wrist again. Station security alarms triggered. Dozens of station guards flooded the ward. Weapons drawn. "You were saying?" she asked. Halvaron's expression collapsed. He turned to Dylan. "You could have been part of something monumental." "I already am," Dylan replied. "I'm choosing my own life." That ended the argument. Halvaron and his team were escorted away. Hours later, the ward was quiet again. Virinel stood with Dylan near the observation window, the station lights painting her skin in soft amethyst hues. "You risked yourself to protect me," she said. "You risked yourself to protect us." She inhaled slowly, as if choosing words was harder than mastering alien. "Biotech, I do not choose easily," she whispered. "Leonor form bonds rarely, carefully. And now?" She reached up, placing her hand against his cheek. Soft, steady, real. "Now I choose you." Dylan leaned into her touch. "No alarms, no harmonizers, no corporations, just them. You saved me today," he said. Virinel shook her head. "No, humanity saved itself." "You refuse to be owned." She pressed her forehead to his. "No one owns connection." A calm certainty settled in Dylan's chest. He wasn't research. He wasn't property. He was chosen.